All right, welcome to the How to Be a Great Gaming Grunt panel. I'm Corey Still. I'm the head GM for Branum Games. We are an up-and-coming gaming company. The game designer is actually here today, Tiffany Branum. Those of us up here on the table, we're game masters and beta testers for her games, and we're going to talk about what it's like working for an up-and-coming gaming company and working behind the scenes.
I'm Tim. I have a lot of energy. Could you tell? Being a grunt for Branum Games is so many different things. It's being a game master. It's being a runner. It's calling somebody out that you don't know to say, hey, look at this awesome game. And I like doing that.
I'm Whitney. I'm also one of the GMs. I'm a game master, and I've helped play test the games. It's a lot of fun doing this.
Hi, I'm Sean. I've pretty much been involved with Branum Games since pretty much its inception. I've helped with developing a few of the games here, and helped with a lot of running the games, helping with getting some of the events set up and everything like that. You know, just had a great time here. So, there we go.
I didn't hear you.
Did you not hear that? Damn. No one heard me at all? All right, so, no, from the early times, Tiffany approached me when she was developing Branum Games, and she said, hey, Sean, I have this great idea. Tell me what you think about it. And I kind of looked at it and I thought it was pretty cool. So we just talked about that around a little bit, bounced around a few ideas, and just started blossoming into something else. I mean, she really took the reins on it all. And next you know, basically in a short amount of time, several games were developed.
With running the games and everything, we get to do a lot of traveling and see a lot of places and do a lot of things. Why don't you explain some of your experiences with the different conventions we've done?
Okay. So I have a lot of energy that I bring to the team, the Branum Games grunt team, I should say. And part of that is just being friendly to everybody. And so we are actually at last year. We were at a different con called GameX, right? And there was this couple that they just stopped by, just flagged, hey, come here, play some games. So they did. And then not only did they play one game, which I figured they would do like everybody else, and like, and they move on. No, they played all 4 games that we had there. And I'm like, well, you should come out to Phoenix Comic Con next week, and we're in LA. And so just a passing comment, you know. Lo and behold, next weekend, I'm sitting there playing games last year at con, and this couple comes up and they're like, hey, from GameX, how are you doing? And I'm like, I did that. Oh. And like, so, a funny story though, that night I found out the programmer for the gaming department at con was right there talking to the developer, and right when I was like, yeah, we brought somebody from LA to Phoenix Comic Con for her. And that right there, that's the kind of rewards the adventures we go on, you know?
Whitney, how has it been being part of games, working with them when they're still on just pen and paper?
It's been a lot of fun. You get to see the games from the bare ideas. You get to see and watch it grow from a small little idea and into a finished game. And you get to find small flaws in it. You get to work on those and help find solutions to make them better and to make something that is a working, fun to play game.
With that, Sean, do you feel with working with from the inception of the company, do you feel that you've had much say in how the games are developed and come about?
I would say so. I mean, when we play test a lot of the games, it's a matter of just like Whitney had mentioned, kind of finding the flaws, see what kind of works. You know, we bounce around a few ideas, and pretty much from there, Tiffany's taken just taking some of the ideas that we had and kind of like use that to restructure some of the games, whether that's some mechanics or designs, what have you. So I mean, yeah, I would say that a lot of us have had a fair say, or at least have the ability to contribute and kind of create something that's entertaining for everyone.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of times we try and break the games when they're in inception. We try and find ways to make them play better. Like Battle Gnomes, her premiere game that she did on Kickstarter last year. She had just gotten her first physical in-box prototype, and wasn't it the three of us? Or no, it was you, me, and Denise were playing it, and at the time, you could only have 4 gnomes and unlimited yard items. I ended up with every single yard item and just decimated everybody else.
Yeah.
Except her, because...
I managed to get, there were 2 cards at the time, and one of them has changed to another one, but it was super glue and duct tape, which at the time both of those were able to either repair your gnome so that it wasn't defeated, or bring it back so that you could hold on to it, and the other person got a card in its place to show as a victory point. But at the time, I had like 4 of the cards. Now I think there's just 2. But and every battle that I went into, I didn't lose any gnomes, whether I lost the battle or not. So there are little things like that we helped make it a little more challenging for gameplay, and maybe a little less time consuming as well.
Have there been any areas for you, Tim, that you feel you've been able to input and change games?
Definitely. Unfortunately, I wasn't part of the Tiffany Branum Branum Games, I could say Grunt team, because I guess you can call that anywhere from you, the head GM, which you're not even GMing anything this year. You're actually inside the
vendor hall selling the games.
So
we're down in Artist Alley. If anyone is interested, you can first start at the Hyatt. We're playing all her games this year, 2nd floor of the Hyatt.
Test them out,
and then down Artist Alley, AA 926, we're going to be selling some of the games.
So
Hold on a second.
So you guys are getting really technical here, and I actually have no experience at all with whatever you guys are doing. Can you please just give me a basis on what exactly you guys have developed? Is it a card game? Is it a board game? It's clearly not a video game. And then also give me an understanding of what exactly a GM even is. I understand the game breakers, but what exactly is a game master? So you guys are going really technical, I like that, but I have no idea what you're even doing in the first place.
Okay, no problem. The gaming company, we do card games and board games she's created so far. Her first board game is actually coming out this year. It's Dungeon Break, which is going to be demoed up on the 2nd floor of the Hyatt right next to the escalators. And then her second one, Steam Masters, it's her second actual board game. The rest are all card games. But as a game master, what we do is we come to events like this. We do conventions or go to local gaming stores, and we teach other people how to play the games. We don't necessarily play them with you. We facilitate other people playing them to give it more publicity and out there. Anybody else want to throw in
So,
anything else with it?
That sounds right.
a GM, I would say, as far as what we do here at Con and what we do at not only just Con, what we do at Game Depot and Imperial Outpost and all different game stores is our job is to bring a game that was made by Tiffany Branum, and make it enjoyable. The game itself is enjoyable, but how many of you guys really enjoyed learning rules? or learning the subtleties of a game before you even play it. Because, you know, like some games, even after you learn it, you're not going to be playing it like another 4 or 5 times before you're like, why didn't I do this the first time, right? Our job as GMs is not only to entertain with the game and make sure you enjoy it, but also to show you, like, okay, I know that you know the basics. You got to work on these 3 gnomes for battle gnomes and keep them up. But you're not going to know any of the strategies or any of the cards because it's your first time playing. But we as GMs want to make sure that you have an enjoyable experience and you're able to bring it to people that have never played it before and be like, hey, watch this. And you lay out some card play that utterly destroys them. And that's our job, is to show the uniqueness and the enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, we bring in the strategies and everything that you wouldn't know, not ever playing it before, and we don't necessarily pick favorites at the tables. We go around to everybody just telling them all the little tricks we've learned as the game's grown up and become what it is now.
And part of that is doing things that you didn't like. Like this lady, I bet you wouldn't guess it, but you couldn't get her to talk in front of 10 people?
Yeah. I'm very much the introvert, and working as a GM has really helped me come out of my shell. I'm more comfortable in front of people. Clearly, I'm up here. And I'm more comfortable approaching people that I don't know, that I've never met, and having a conversation with them about something that I love, something that's fun, and trying to get that spark lit in them as well. It's been really, really good for me.
And Sean, is there anything that within the company, since you've been working with it, where you felt has maybe improved you?
I think honestly, you guys have pretty much covered a lot of it. I mean, it's like Whitney, I have some slight, she's speaking in front of larger people, but to be honest, no, basically what we do is we kind of like help market the game. We demo it, we present it in a way that's enjoyable to learn, like Corey had already mentioned. You know, it basically makes the game more entertaining and more approachable. You know, rather than just something that you see sitting on a box on the shelf at a gaming store. You know, you can just open it up. You get to go check it out, see inside of the box, and see what the game's all about.
And within the company, we have various age ranges of people work for. Like our youngest GM is actually 14 years old. He's running games right now, actually, and he's even given input and changed games. We have one game, it's a tile-based game called Nocturnes, where you're stuck. Here, you describe it better.
Oh, I do.
You do.
Yay, the high
Describe
energy.
Nocturnes.
See, it's good. So Nocturnes is a really, really good game about sanity, or insanity, if you will. And it's completely, so the game lays out as such. You start the game, and everybody wakes up, or lack thereof wakes up, in an experiment room, right? And you're realizing you're transversing this dream world, trying to maintain your sanity, and seeing all the other players against you, you're actually trying to break down their sanity and make them go insane. Okay, so it's a game of nightmares. That's Nocturnes and all that. And so her son over here that they're talking about, and I don't have any cool contributions, but you know what? He was like, I get nightmares of dragons. Can that be a nightmare? And guess what? Bada bing, bada boom. There's a dragon card inside of Nocturnes. But that's part of being a GM, though. Not only, or being a grunt, not just being a GM, is like you guys started off at the basic level when Battle Gnomes was literally printouts. You cut them out, and you're like, all right, break this in a cutout version. All right, now it's made into a prototype version. Now break that. Okay, now good, we've broken it enough. Now we have a kind of a good copy here. Let's bring that to Comic-Con, and let's have everybody break it. I mean, and that's the idea, is as a grunt, as a GM, you need to make sure people are enjoying it, but know that you're part of the development of something that is great, and so is every single person that you bring to the table. And so you can't look for certain people like Parks. Parks is definitely targeted towards children. It's about building up your own theme park, right? Except you won't have children breaking the game like, adults will. And there's going to be that one father that's playing the card game and going, all right, let's play this. And without having that variety, without talking to so many different people and bringing them to play the games, we wouldn't know that it has this flaw that just you didn't even know, like what you were saying. As far as
With the cards for Battle Nouns, yeah.
and so like this year, both Steam Masters, which is right here, and Dungeon Break are both getting the same opportunity that Nocturnes and Battle Gnomes got last year. And we are actually going to have a binder out there. And if anybody has any good suggestions or like we notice anything that's inherently wrong with the game while we're playing it out there, we want you guys to be like, hey, look at this. Write that down so that way Tiffany can actually go over it and you can have a piece of developing a game,
And like you said, going out to all the events, we get to meet all different types of people and get to see all the different personalities, and which can sometimes lead to interesting situations for us because while we may joke around a little bit, we have to, of course, stay professional. And Tim and I here, we went to GameX last year and we were demoing Nocturnes. And this father came up with his kid, must have been 8, and we told the dad, this isn't a kid's game, it's a PG type game. It has
PG-13 material incoming. PG-13 material incoming.
It's not necessarily graphics. Just one of the cards is one of the helper cards in the game is an erotic dream. And we let the father know this, and he's like, "Oh, it's fine. Nothing will happen. It's fine." Lo and behold, he landed on erotic. And with erotic, you have to actually choose another player to be in the erotic dream with you and gain a sanity. And he's like,
PG-13.
Oh, I guess I'm having an erotic dream with my son. It's like,
man, we know what was happening, but you didn't have to vocalize it. Like, that is condo.
yeah. But, and that also leads us to another thing with the going to other cons and stuff. We don't get paid for what we do. We actually, we're all volunteers for this, and but we do end up with some really good perks. Why don't we start with Sean? What are some perks you've received working for the company?
Aside from just a few actual copies of the games and everything like that,
Perks?
I have been. Sorry about that. No, it's basically just a matter of exposure to a lot of things and having a hand in developing something that actually has a lot of potential for just being amazing. And like I said, one of the major perks is like in a lot of the developing, we've gotten some of the copies of some of the actual games just for. So it's just it's basically say, hey, it's like here's what we've had for from helping out from some of the original copies to some of the updated copies of games. Basically, you guys.
Okay. Whitney, what are some things you've received?
For me, specifically, last year was my first con. First one of any type that I have ever gone to. And I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity if I hadn't decided to become a GM for Tiffany. I've never really been able to afford the con tickets. And becoming a GM, and since we were going to be GMing at con, I was able to get tickets through Tiffany. So it was absolutely wonderful.
So talking about perks, my perks are a little bit different. Of course, if we're going to work at con, of course, they're going to be like, well, yeah, you don't have to pay to work for us. You can come on to con. No cost to you. That's, I guess, a small perk. You know what? I made my film debut. All right? It's sort of funny story, actually. So I get a message from the creator, Tiffany Branum, and it was like, come on over. We're doing something for it. And I am notoriously bad at reading messages. Notoriously bad. Like, weeks later sometimes. And so I just get this message. I'm like, okay, so me and my girlfriend go on down there. And lo and behold, they're like, oh, would you like something to drink? And just go ahead and sit here. And now we're going to set the camera up right here. And the lighting's going to go right here. And my girlfriend, who is not camera friendly, is looking at me with this cold-hearted stare, and I'm just like, I don't know what just happened. But I was actually on the Battle Gnomes Kickstarter for the video, me playing the game, and that was how I got my film debut. You'll check me out. You'll see me in about 10 years. I've already been in several movies. I don't know which ones I was an extra.
But yeah, me as head GM, we've already said, I've gone out to LA for conventions. I've done Phoenix Comic Con here. I've done Saboten Con. This year I'm doing Thrill Halloween.
I did Thrill last year.
And one of the perks that I really enjoy as head, because I work hand in hand with the game designer and everything, I'm able to meet other game designers and other heads of companies and get to talk with them about their games and learn how they do things and how to better run our company and better run the GMs and train them and just get all sorts of insider tips and the behind the scenes workings of not just an up and coming company, but companies that have been around for a while, like Steve Jackson Games, the makers of Munchkin. I've talked with some of them. And among other companies. It's a really good experience. I've really enjoyed the time. What are some other things we've done?
I mean, so meeting people is a big deal. The thing is like, I shared that story with you where some people came from LA and the programming director for Comic-Con was right there. I had no idea. I had met this person 3 times already. I had no idea. I was just being friendly with him. I had no idea. I find out that night that person that I was being friendly with was like the programming director in a bigwig economy. I'm like, who would have thunk it? And that's the thing, though, is when you're doing these, when you're GMing or when you're going to place, you don't know who you're going to meet. Is it the owner of another company, like Magic Meeple Games, that they want to say, hey, I've heard a lot of other people talking about your game, let me check it out. And so all of a sudden you have somebody that you don't even know, that you're representing something that is completely out of your hands and out of your knowledge, but it's just something great that you hold like in the back of your mind, because you don't know what it is that you're going to be doing awesomely today for, but you know it's going to happen because every single day is a new adventure, you know, especially during con.
So Whitney, how is it being able to actually work hand in hand with the CEO, founder, creator of the game?
It's actually been a really good experience for me. I liked Tiffany before I came to work for her. I have a what?
You like Tiffany? Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you so
I got
much.
you. I got you.
But you get to see a different side of a friend that you've already got. You get to, instead of just being a friend and going and doing things with them or just hanging out, you are working on something. You are trying to make something better, and it's been pretty great.
Tim, how would one person who wants to become a GM or get into the industry in this sense, how would they do it?
Okay, so becoming a GM is, there's many different methods. So you have my method, which I am just very loud. And so she looked at me and she goes, you stand out. Come here, would you like to look at some of these things that I've done so far? And it worked out for me. And the beautiful thing was she was already a friend that was looking for assistance, that I could help her out without really joining into a team that was expansive. Now, like Steve Jackson and stuff like that. I know, not Steve Jackson, Men in Black. That's Steve Jackson. So you start playing a game, you enjoy the game, you learn everything about the game, and then once you have that, you find people to play the game with you. And that's really what GMing is truly about, is finding people that want to play a game and bringing them the experience. I don't know. How would you go about it? Go to a GM and say, how did you do this? I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then I know if you come to any of our tables and you say you want to do that, you will be my new best friend for the entirety of con. I'll show you how to do it real well. No, the thing is if you want to play games and you enjoy it, then sit down with one of the GMs or one of the creators or the illustrators and say, hey, how do I get into this? And you can get all sorts of contact information on doing this. And I know all I got to do is let Tiffany know when I want to go out and I want to bring the games to somebody. And she can contact someone and say, hey, be at this place at this time, and just start running games. Just bring people the excitement of that's what being a grunt is bringing the happiness.
Yeah, definitely go to the cons, go to the game stores, especially when there are events there, and play the games. Talk with people that are running the games, and you can get contacts. You can get all sorts of opportunities.
Lady Beard. Lady Beard. There's a story behind Lady Beard. Lady Beard.
Last year at SabotenCon, first of all, did anybody here go to Sabo last year?
Saboten?
SabotenCon is in September. It's held at the Sheridan here in downtown Phoenix. It's the local anime festival convention. We were there running games, and there's a musician / wrestler he's an Australian man, lives and performs in Japan. He goes by the name of Ladybeard. He was performing at Sabo last year, and we were running games there, and there was going to be no time for me to get ready for the concert before the end of my games, so I dressed up and got ready for the concert before the games. And my son was there GMing with me.
It was his first con.
Do any of you guys know who Ladybeard is? At all? Yeah, Ladybeard? 6 foot tall, muscular Australian man with a big beard and a dress. Ladybeard. Oh, pigtails.
Yep. And
This man.
Here's my 14-year-old son trying to run games, trying to pretend he doesn't know me because there I am next to him GMing in a silver glittery dress, fishnets, makeup, and a wig with pigtails. That was a very long day for him.
And that's part of what being a GM is not only bringing the games to life, but having ourselves be part of it. I mean, you wouldn't attract the attention that you got at con without being dressed up like that. Or your son, who was he at SabotenCon?
He was dressed up as Gaara from Naruto.
So
he had a full-on outfit, dyed his hair and everything, grew his hair out long to match it.
Yep.
So, it just because you're doing one thing doesn't mean you need to sacrifice who you are, what you enjoy doing. No. Bring that into your GMing. Bring that into everything that you do as far as bringing the enjoyment to everybody else. Because I swear, if I come as Ladybeard, there'd be a lot of... there'd be people running. That's what would happen. But... Bazinga.
Do you guys have anything to add?
Not at the moment. I mean, I was just enjoying listening to you guys talk.
Yeah.
Another thing we get to do within the company is we don't necessarily see them all that often, but we get to interact with the artists and we get input with the art. There's a group where, Facebook group, here, Whitney, you talk about the Facebook group on artists for a minute.
Okay. Branum Games has a Facebook page, and we've got a group board that we're all part of, and there is everyone that is part of Branum Games is in this messaging board, and every once in a while, the artists will post pictures of art that they're working on, and they'll want our input. They'll want to know if we like this one or this one better, or if there is maybe color preferences or layouts of cards that they're working on. And it's really nice to be able to have that input as well, to be able to say, I like the way this is shaped better than this one, or to be able to provide that input, and to actually be able to have the opportunity to put in that sort of input towards a game. And it's really nice to be able to do that. It's pretty awesome.
I would say a lot of time and energy go into development of games, not just sitting there writing the rules and playtesting them out, but also in the design and the manufacture of the products themselves. Sometimes we'll get some things and we're like, all right, well, they messed up on this and we have to send it back.
There will be 4 final versions.
Yeah.
Today I just brushed here just because we were waiting for a delivery and a shipment. I just got here like
4Con.
I just walked in the door as I just delivered everything here. And walking across the heat was not fun, that moment of rush. But no, there's a lot that goes into it, because it's a matter of kind of going through, testing everything out, everything sent back, and just listen to all the feedback. I mean, it's not a simple process of just, let's make a game and do it. It requires a lot of drive and determination and ambition to see it through,
As far as drive, ambition, and seeing things through, part of the benefit of seeing things through with this is, so this game, like when I first saw this game, it was shreds of paper, which were cool with little like doodles on it, and it's really neat seeing that. And then she comes out with, okay, so this is the kind of thing, what do you prefer? Is it this character, and do you prefer this top, this bottom? And so as part of a grunt, it's just the feedback, the constant feedback that somebody that's in a non-stop creative, they need that. They need somebody else. And that's part of our jobs as well, is to say that fence is really annoying. It's kind of, it's blocking off the main purpose of the card, but a tree in the exact same situation with the exact same character, well, it removes everything else. And we're actually able to have a conversation. And almost like as a GM, we get to make everything. That's the reason why we're so excited about bringing the games to people, because it's part of our lifeblood.
Yeah.
It's why we do it, because we want to
the games may not necessarily be our ideas, it may not be our art, but we've put our time and effort into helping it become what it is. So in a sense, it's
our baby too.
Also.
That's one of the things about GMing. You got to love it. You have to love not just doing it, not just talking to people, new people every single time, and saying the same rules over and over again. You have to make it enjoyable for this new group every single time. And you do that because you're truly enjoying the game that you put effort into. In the very, very bottom stage, you put effort into it, and now you're at the mid stage for like this game, to where I want players' feedback. And I need their help she needs their help in order to make sure that this is the game that everyone's going to love. Like Battle Gnomes, if you play Battle Gnomes, you'll get hooked. I swear it is the funnest little game. And where are we at? Second floor?
Second floor of the Hyatt.
Right next to the
escalators.
Escalator. Not elevator, escalator. I stand out. You'll probably see me. But you all should go visit there today and check out all the games that we're going to have there today. They're super cool. And I could show you some graphical designs I made on pretty much everyone except Nocturnes.
I think the other interesting thing about a lot of the games that we present is they actually appeal to a large variety of large spectrum of audience and covers a lot of genre for the most part. I mean, not every specific one, but you have Battle Gnomes, which a lot of us have talked about, or Nocturnes, and you also have like book collectors and parks and Dungeon Break and Steam Masters. So it's just a variety of things that, and the gameplay and style is also very different for each one. So if you have a particular style of game that you like to play, or like to run, I mean, for me, I like the cutthroat aspect of book collectors. Also I study literature, so I like the references in that, So that's something I like to run. I like to basically introduce people to and bring people on board with and such. While some people may have more of a big thing for Battle Gnomes and all that. I mean, all these games are pretty fun. It's just, yeah.
Did you catch that? I thought so.
Did you guys hear me?
So I think what he was trying to get at is that everybody has a cup of tea. Everybody enjoys their Earl Grey, their chai, their whatever you want. Everybody has their own cup of tea. And book collectors, which I will be running today and Saturday, is super cutthroat. Like, it's straight up like you need to collect books for your library in order to amass whatever your goal is, right? And so I was playing a game, right? And I didn't get to go in the first 3 turns because he was like, oh, we're playing book collectors. Skip. Oh, you got a book? Burned your book. Oh, it's a ruined. It's actually a copied book. Like, I didn't get to do anything in the game because it's super, super cutthroat.
That's my favorite game.
Oh, my gosh.
Although, I will have to say that's one thing people have learned.
3 turns.
Does anybody watch How I Met Your Mother? People have referred to me as the Marshall of our group.
So mean.
I learn a game and I win.
You don't lose.
Every time. Even if I don't know the game, I win it. Every time.
Yeah.
I can vouch for this.
Like a lot of people don't like playing Battle Gnomes with me because I don't lose.
Of course, he's going to show you his techniques when he plays Battle Gnomes with you. If you stop by the vendor hall and purchase a copy, and he will show you all the expert pro elite tips that comes with the Branum GM.
Branum Games.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I must know. Branum Games, Battle Gnomes. That's what I was trying to get out.
But does anybody have any questions for us on what we do? Want to know more about the company, our games?
How to interact with people.
Yes, you in the front. Yes.
How would you recommend somebody who wants to do this to get involved in being part of a game company?
The question was, how would you get involved doing this with it in a game company? Your best bet, honestly, start either go to the second floor of the Hyatt, talk to us there, or any of the other gaming people up there. Go to your local gaming stores, talk to them, see if you can get in any local gaming companies there if they know any, because a lot of the local gaming stores, they'll talk to some of the either upcoming companies or even some of the big companies. Like I know the Men in Black, which is the GMs for Steve Jackson Games, they do stuff with a ton of different gaming companies out here, and they're constantly running game days. We do game days every now and then, so talking to your local gaming store is a perfect way to get in contact and either talk to them, see what the company's about, what kind of games they put out, to see if you would want to work with them. But at the same time, even if it's not necessarily a game you're into, but you want to get in the industry, get your foot in the door however you can, even if it's playing a game, teaching a game you don't necessarily like, because you can eventually get the experience and move on to bigger companies or better companies that suit what you prefer more.
Okay, I know me. I am a GM. I have played many different games. I love playing games. That's the reason why I love being a GM, because I get to bring my passion, my enjoyment to people. The thing is that I am not a Steve Jackson's kind of GM where I run a Dungeons and Dragons game. I'm not a great storyteller. And so, like, this is perfect for me, where I get to teach you all the precise movements of a card, but if you wanted to get into, like, let's say Steve Jackson's games, you would go to the Men in Black and you go, hey, how did you get into it? And he's just about asking that question. How do I become part of it? Does that answer your question? Yeah? Hidden in the back here.
All right. You talk a lot about the good things. What are some of the hard parts that you have to work through, aside from explaining it over and over and over again?
For me, some of the harder parts actually is the people who intentionally come to the tables knowing they don't like the game, or they'll try to instigate stuff. Or like last year, I was running a game of Battle Gnomes, and there was a guy playing the game complaining about the rules and saying how this is never a game that he would play on his own. It's not even the genre he likes, but yet he stayed for the entire game, and he complained the whole time, and having to work around those personalities
And try to make
keep
it
a
still
smile on your face
and try to make it still an enjoyable game for the other
everyone
people at the
else.
table.
Yeah,
And them. Oh.
yeah. And
Like-
anybody else? What don't you like?
That's actually one of my major problems right there, is actually dealing with some of the some of the people who intentionally try to cause some problems for the groups and such. I mean, sometimes also people will get upset with how a game is going to turn out. It's partially because either they don't understand the nuance, like the particularities of a rule or whatnot. So it's a matter of sometimes just taking the time out and just kind of focus a little bit on them, make sure, like, hey, like, help them understand, reach that level of understanding, so they could also continue to enjoy the game again. So.
Also, one of the downsides is I had mentioned that if I wanted to go out and I wanted to play test at if I wanted to go do something, I just message her and she'll set me up with something. Sometimes I don't message her and she sets me up with something. She'd be like, oh, I need you out here, like 30 miles away from your house at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday to play games all day. Sound fun? Yeah, do it. And I do it. That's what I do. But it's just about, biting your finger and going, all right, this is actually, this is what I signed up for. I signed up to bring enjoyment to everybody. And even if there's going to be that one person that either wants to mess with the rules and be like, it says this wording right here. I know it says that wording, but please, the game's still like going forward in development. Like, I'm your new wording. Like, this is your wording. And so listen to me, don't tell me how to play and so getting past some of those egos can be challenging, but it's also rewarding when those people, when they learn like the intricacies, the tiny little nuances of the game. When they realize those, and then they can get in the game. They're no longer thinking about the whatever bothering them, and they're like, well, now I'm going to mess with this person at the table, because you let them know that secret that they can do that, and all of a sudden they will start enjoying the game. And it's just about finding the personalities, because like Battle Gnomes may not be great for an 80-year-old man, but book collectors will be. He's going to be like, oh, I read that 40 years ago. That was a good book.
With the hat over there.
Is the game industry in the Phoenix area like growing, or is it
Popping.
strong?
It's on fire.
It is actually growing a lot. Basically, it's just you have to be heavily involved in the gaming industry to actually really see it growing. Because it's like if you're just kind of casually walking by a gaming store, you're just going to see some books, like some games on a shelf, and you're not really going to develop that full appreciation as far as how much the gaming industry is going. I can tell you, it's like 10 years ago compared to now. I mean, how many new games are out there? Just not from just even particular companies, but from a whole bunch. I mean, it is growing at a staggering rate.
And the size of like the card game tabletop gaming at Con in just the past 3 years has grown like double or triple the size, hasn't it?
Pretty much.
From what like?
Yeah, pretty much. It also depends on over the years, a lot of the popularity of board games, tabletop games. I mean, games like I remember back in the day when you had like cheap ass games. If anyone remembers any of those at all. And then some old games like Kill Dr. Lucky, kind of reverse version of Clue. Now you have stuff like
Steam Masters.
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff from Branum Games. You have a lot of other interactive board games or card games that people get together, and there's a resurgence of the stuff. And that resurgence, I mean, has gone from a point where it's no longer going to lull. It's just actually going to be on a steady rise. So.
And I mean, not only, I mean, for us, I do this. I enjoy this. But I went to the Cobra Arcade last year. I think they're here again this year, aren't they? But there was somebody wandering around showing me how to play the games. And it's arcade games, right? They're pretty simple, right? But he's like, no, you gotta, he's sitting there showing me how to play, I think, either Gauntlet or Legend or whatever the game was. But I'm like, you're doing what I do and showing people how to improve over a rapid amount of time on a game you know nothing about. And that's like, it's not just with this one industry. It's with every single industry. There's going to be GMs. There's going to be grunts. There's going to be play testers. There's going to be marketing people. We had another person on this panel. Unfortunately, her job conflicted. But she's a marketing expert. So she would have marketing questions for you guys. All about how this goes.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
How do you find ways to deal with those kinds of people who just come up and offer criticism, not because they want to be constructive, but because they intend to hurt? How do you deal with those kinds
First
of
of all, keep it cool.
Patience.
Yeah, keep
Patience.
it cool, take a breath, smother them in love. The more they get angry, the kinder you get. Just keep smiling and try to work through it. And you don't, for me, biggest thing is don't take anything personal. There's going to be that person that does that, or that person, like he said, that goes through the rule book. No, the wording says this. Or,
You can also try to give them a feeling of validation. If you like, oh great, I'll take that note and I'll pass it on, or I
Saying
will
thank you.
let me write that down. That's a great idea. I'll run it by the
designer.
Thank you. That was the word that I was not coming up with. There's a lot of placating that you can do. And last year at Con, I had a whole list of things that people had suggested. And I remember handing the paper off to Tiffany, our designer. And it was actually quite, some of the ideas were pretty cool. Some of them would not have worked, but at the very least, it might have been ideas for expansions.
I know I have a card for expansion. She told me I could have one.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Good.
Any other questions before we wrap up?
I mean,
Time for maybe 1-2 more questions.
who wants to dance?
You.
Okay, this is going to be a long dance session.
Yes.
So when it comes to making games and working out with mechanics and all, are there some basic algorithms or formulas you try to follow when it comes to it?
Not really. A lot of the games are actually very different and how they're played and their mechanics and such. So we don't have a basic, we don't have like a basic cookie cutter approach to it all. It just goes with we take the concept of the game and go with the feel for it. It's like hey, Battle Homes is a very different feel when you're playing it than Book Collectors. Mm-hmm. And the setup and the rules are all for each game is all very different. So that's basically it's one of the other intriguing things about a lot of the games for Branum Games is just that each one, how they play, not only just the theme, not only just the concept, but also the mechanics themselves are all very different.
It's not only that, it's you play the game by the rules, like everybody else is going to do. If you play it by the rules and all of a sudden there's a hiccup, well, the rules, either the rules or the game, there's a wording or there's something that's causing this hiccup, and you just got to find it. And once you do, you know it's there, you make a notation of it, and you make a small edit, and all of a sudden that hiccup is fixed. Now, if this hiccup causes another hiccup after it's been fixed, so be it. But that's the idea of having 4 final versions, because you fix one, and that breaks another. And it's a constant cycle, and that's the reason why expansions are necessary. Because you're going to have games that you're going to have the basic principle set up, and then all these great ideas that people bring to the table that she's like, well, this is a good game, and it's ready for all this stuff, but I'm going to need to develop a whole 50 more cards that work without breaking what's already there.
Because we had Dungeon Break, which
It was
works
broken.
now. It was broken to the point where we couldn't play it in the beginning.
And we could not finish a game.
Yeah.
It was that rough.
But we were able to give enough feedback to her, and she took it back to the drawing board and was able to fix it. And a couple weeks later, we were able to play and finish a game.
And we've actually got it upstairs at the Hyatt, ready for you guys to play as well.
What floor is that again?
Second floor.
Second floor. Right next to the escalator. Not the...
Elevator.
Good. All right, I like that.
All right, do we have any more questions?
I look forward to... Ooh.
Yes.
Have you ever had somebody, while you're playing a game with people, have you ever had someone come up to you and say, this game plays exactly like X game that you've never heard of?
I have had someone come up and say, this one is really similar to this in the game mechanics to this one that I've played. And I had to go look for that game. I remember, I don't remember what the game was at this point, but I want to say I was playing, fairly certain it was Parks. I think I was playing Parks. And I don't remember the game that they said that it was similar to. But reading the rules, I can see how it had a couple of parallels. It was kind of interesting.
And we've seen a lot of, with like Battle Gnomes, it's a lot of people compare it to like a mashup of Magic the Gathering and Munchkin, but yet at the same time it's completely different.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of the games play the same. I mean, look at Magic the Gathering, and you have mana, you have cards, you have I don't know. I'm thinking of other games. All right, let's think of Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. Okay, I don't know. I don't actually play as many like big RPG games like those, but they're still the same cards, right? But they're completely different. And although there might be similarities, people will relate to similar things, and even if they're kind of familiar, they'll be like, "This is really alike this game." And the beautiful thing is that all of the Branum games are designed from the ground up to be original. And so whenever somebody says something like that, you're like, "Oh yeah, cool. So you know how to play this then." Like,
So that answer your question? Okay. So we're going to wrap up. Any final thoughts?
Not really. Thank you all for coming here.
what'd you guys think of the panel? Yeah? Got a thumbs up? Got a
Good.
thumb middle? Yeah, thumbs up? All right, I'm digging the thumbs up. I like seeing that. All right. If you guys have any further questions for us in the future, at any given point in time, he will be inside the...
I'll be in the vendor hall
Vendor
down
hall.
Artist Alley, table AA 926.
Okay.
And for everyone else, of course,
Second
second
floor.
floor of the Hyatt, right next to the escalators. We've got
No,
3 tables right there.
All right.
Yep.
We're pretty standouty. We do that. I think we are even getting cool shirts that match.
Yeah, everyone, all the GMs for our
don't
company
have
will
much.
be wearing the same teal shirt that she's wearing.
Yay teal, yay teal, yay teal. It's been a super fun having a panel for you guys. No more questions?
Are you guys local?
Yeah.
It is a local company, yes, it's here in the valley.
Support your local game designers.
Oh, yes, if people want, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
come up. We have business cards up here.
We've got a couple of
Feel free
games.
to take them.
We got like 7 minutes before somebody else is supposed
yeah,
to have the
we've
room.
got-
So if you have any questions, to come on
Yeah,
up.
if people want to ask questions that you didn't want to blurt out, or if you want to come look and see what these games look like, feel free. We'll be up here for the next
Any
few
other
minutes.
questions you might have? Just you want to come up and ask specifically, not necessarily